Hey, how you guys doing? Welcome back to another episode of Soldiers Talk the Podcast. I'm your host, Staff Sergeant McPherson, and on this show we discuss military topics with current and prior service members. Okay, you guys. So today we're basically gonna be going through the process. I'm gonna be giving you guys some tips on how to perform well during a promotion board. Make sure you guys stay tuned to this video. Okay, so far as the promotion board, right? So before we get started, make sure you guys like the video. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you're liking the content. It's basically military related content. So and also I want you guys to I'm gonna give you guys basically some helpful tips on how to perform well during a promotion board. So before we get started, far as the S1 side of things, I really don't know the S1 side of things on you being actually selected for the promotion board. I don't know how that process works. I just know usually they give you a heads up, first sergeant or whoever give you a heads up on, okay, this person's gonna be going to the board this month, and you need to prepare yourself. So usually like they give you have to do like a board packet with your biography and stuff like that, SRB and different things like that goes inside your packet. So far as studying for the board, so when you studying the MOI, you basically want to make sure you studying every regulation that it has on there. You want to make sure you knowing the regulations by heart, and you want to make sure you look up like online like certain board questions that they might ask. Usually it's like scenario. It might be scenario based questions that they ask you. So don't always think that they gonna ask you stuff from the MOI. So some of the board questions are basically just gonna be like real life situations on what would you do in this situation, or how would you handle this situation. So basically that's part of the studying process. So what I did was I had flashcards and I wrote down the regulation behind every question, or I just separated them depending on what regulation it accorded to, and I just studied that section. But look, as long as you know that, and you know like, but sometimes they ask you, they just be prepared to answer to just be prepared to for them to ask you questions that you're not gonna know. They gonna ask you questions, stuff that you probably wouldn't even think about. So just be prepared to basically adjust and adapt to whatever they ask you. So now that you have basically studied everything that you can study, now it's time to come for the actual day of the board. So of course you want to make sure your uniform is squared away. You want to get there on time. And any last minute things you might have to do or anything like that. So usually when it's your time to go to the board, your NCO or who's ever taking you to the board is going to go in there first. Kind of introduce the soldier to the board members. Then the S1 clerk is going to come to you and tell you, okay, you can come in. And then that's when you will knock 3 times at the door until they ask you to enter. So once they tell you to enter to the board, you're going to go in and you're going to make the most direct route to the president of the board. You want to be at least two paces in front of the table. So then you'll render your salute, and then don't drop your salute until he drop his. or she drop hers. So, and at that time, they might tell you to do. They might tell you to. They might ask you Soldier's Creed or just like certain things like that. That you might not know. Or if you're an NCO, they might tell you to do the. More than likely, it's gonna be the NCO Creed. So, and when you are then once you're done with that, they might tell you to do a couple facial movements. They're gonna tell you to, okay, so do a right face, 3 steps forward, about face, 6 steps forward. They basically are looking at your uniform while they're telling you to do all these facial movements. So as they're inspecting your uniform, once you make your way back to the president of the board, in front of the president of the board, or even if you're not, they're gonna tell you, okay, you can have a seat. And then at that time, you want to look behind you, see where the seat at. You want to march to your seat, and you want to sit at the position of attention. So when you sit at the position of attention, of course, you kind of want to sit up straight, and you want to have your hands like in front of you, on your lap. So you can be relaxed, but kind of don't be too relaxed. Sometimes you can just sit straight up. You know what I mean? So okay, now that you know that, you guys, now they basically gonna ask you to tell them a little bit about yourself. That's when you basically go through a little brief of your biography. You want to tell them, I'm from here. Well, yeah, tell them where you're from, and tell you when you joined the Army, why you joined the Army, and stuff that you plan to get accomplished while you're in the Army. Another thing is, it's going to be 5 members. It should be 5 members sometimes on the board. So it's going to be 1 sergeant major and 4 other first sergeants, depending on availability. Sometimes it might be a sergeant first class up there, and so on. So, yeah. And as you answering questions, so I'm gonna get into the questions part. So as far as the questions, if they ask you something you don't know, just confidently say, first sergeant, I don't know at this time. But if you at least know the regulation, at least state the regulation on how you can find it. But if you don't even know the regulation or the question, just tell them, first sergeant, I don't know the question at this time. Or if you don't know the answer, just don't blurt out anything, but say the wrong answer in a confident way. Even if it's the wrong answer, try to make it sound like it's the right answer. Cause then, they gonna make them think like, is it right? And then if they ask you, are you sure about that? Say, yes, I'm sure. You want to basically be confident in all your answers. So, and again, you want to make sure you're making eye contact with them. Make sure you're looking directly at the person who's asking the question, and you want to make sure that that you are addressing them by their correct rank. You don't want to be going back and forth. I know it's hard sometimes because you can be going from different ranks, and sergeant major might ask you a question. Then this first sergeant might ask you a question. Then a sergeant first class might ask you a question. Before you address any person, just make sure you kind of slow down and address that person by their correct rank. Because sometimes you can get mixed up and you might call a sergeant first class a first sergeant. You might call a first sergeant first class, and so on. And that's, I did that one time. Like I had a problem. Probably still got a problem addressing people by their correct rank. Sometimes it's not. I don't do it on purpose. It's just sometimes it's just the monotony of the Army. Sometimes you might call a ma'am, sir. I mean a officer, sergeant. It's just the monotony sometimes. But try to get control of that and try to get better at that. And what I haven't went over. So yeah, so that's basically everything I want to cover uh for this video. So after you get done, of course they're gonna tell you you are dismissed or whatever. You want to get up and render the salute again, and don't drop your salute until they drop theirs, then you just make your way out the board. So that's basically everything that I wanted to go over with you guys. I kind of wanted to cover the S1 part on you actually being selected for the board and how does that process work? Because I don't know as far as like, I think your name will come up on the list to be selected to go to the board. There's some type of list that comes out every month, but S1 would know that better than I would. But yeah, so that's basically everything I wanted to cover for this video. The biggest thing, just your uniform, knowing facial movements, knowing at least know the NCO creed, because that's this is for a promotion board. So a soldier of the month board might be different, but a promotion board, you need to know the soldier NCO creed, because that's gonna be the first thing they ask you when you go in there before you even sit down. If you don't know the NCO creed, you could be at risk to get kicked out before you even start to get asked the questions. So that's basically everything. So make sure you guys follow, the podcast on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Let me know if any other type of content you guys want to see. You also can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. So this has been another episode of Soldiers Talk the Podcast, and I'll see you guys in formation.